Hello, everyone. This is Jeffrey Kerr. For my first order of business for this brand new year, I'm here with the January 2024 installment of the News of the Month series on the Kerr Reviews podcast, where I discuss a few different entertainment news stories that feel important and/or interesting to me. Each of the stories you'll be hearing me talk about have been divided into four separate categories. The first set of them is some important updates. At the end of last month's installment, I said I'd be back on January 1st. Long story about that. I originally wanted to come back on January 8th, but then I realized I had all this Emmy coverage to do this month. So I had to move up this episode to New Year's Day to give me time to do a predictions podcast, followed by a recap. But then Jack Mahines, who I've been discussing awards with lately, told me that because of how behind he is on some of this year's contenders, he won't be fully prepared to do a predictions podcast. So that, coupled with how busy this month is going to be for me in general, I had the perfect excuse to refer back to my original plan of debuting this episode on January 8th. Because of that, I got to enjoy a slightly longer hiatus from this show, but don't worry, Jack will be back to recap the Emmys with me in a couple weeks. Meanwhile, as it is now a brand new year, I've got an announcement I'd like to make. As much as I enjoy putting together podcasts for all of you, it can be tricky for me to do so while balancing them out with my regular job. I currently work at a grocery store and my personal life. So starting this year, I'm gonna experiment with something. If you've been following the Care Reviews podcast for a while, you should know that I usually put out new episodes on a bi-weekly schedule. It's much less taxing on my part than just putting them out once a week. Although sometimes, if I get more than I usually do in a short time span, I have to compromise the schedule a bit by publishing at least one of them on a Friday as opposed to Mondays as usual. So, what I'm going to be experimenting with is just putting out 2 podcasts per month, nothing more unless a third comes up. We'll see how that turns out for me throughout 2024, but hey, I'm actually excited to try it out. This next news story is about the Screen Actors Guild Awards. Nominations will be announced on January 10th, with the ceremony taking place on February 24th, airing exclusively live on Netflix. This past month, it was revealed that this year's recipient of SAG's Lifetime Achievement Award will be Barbra Streisand. A bona fide showbiz legend with so many credits to her name, for her motion picture debut in 1968's Funny Girl, she won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Comedy Musical, as well as the Oscar for Best Actress. The latter was famously in a tie with Katharine Hepburn for The Lion in Winter. Since then, she earned a second Oscar nod for acting in 1973's The Way We Were, won a second Golden Globe for acting in the 1976 remake of A Star is Born, and was the recipient of their prestigious Cecil B. DeMille Award in 1999. Of course, this is literally perfect timing given the recent publication of her memoir titled My Name is Barbara. I can't think of a legend who'd be more deserving this year. I'm curious to see who will end up presenting the award to her on the telecast. Could it be any of her former on-screen leading men such as Jeff Bridges, Nick Nolte, or Robert Redford? Or could it be her real-life leading man, James Brolin, along with his son, Josh Brolin? I guess we'll see. This next news story is about Kiss of the Spider-Woman. For those unfamiliar, it's this novel by Manuel Puig that was published in 1976. The story depicts the daily conversations between two cellmates in an Argentine prison, Molina and Valentin, and the intimate bond they form in the process. The novel also served as the basis for a 1985 film adaptation starring William Hurt and Raul Julia. The former won a Best Actor Oscar for his performance. It was also adapted into a 1993 stage musical with a book by Terrence McNally and a score by John Kander and Fred Ebb. The original Broadway production, directed by Hal Prince, starring Brent Carver, Chita Rivera, and Anthony Crivello, won 7 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. About a year into the run, Howard McGillen, Vanessa Williams, and Brian Stokes Mitchell all took over. Many critics felt they were superior to the original principals, which prompted the producers to record and release a second cast album featuring replacements, which almost never happens. The show later closed on January 1st, 1995, after 904 performances. This past month, it was revealed that a feature film adaptation of the Kiss of the Spider-Woman musical is in the works. Bill Condon, the Oscar-winning writer-director behind 1998's Gods and Monsters, who also wrote the screenplay for the 2002 film adaptation of another Kindred musical, Chicago, and also wrote and directed the 2006 film adaptation of Dreamgirls, is set to write and direct this one, with Jennifer Lopez co-producing and starring in the role of Aurora. Not to mention that Sergio Trujillo, who won a Tony in 2019 for his work on Ain't Too Proud, will serve as choreographer. The movie is being made independently, with principal photography expected to begin this April in New Jersey. A casting call opened for an unknown actor to play the role of Melina. What's interesting about this is that Jennifer Lopez was previously set to star as Rosie in a live television production of Bye Bye Birdie on NBC, but it looks like that's been shelved at this point. Rosie, like Aurora, was originated on Broadway by Chita Rivera. Not to mention that Vanessa Williams also took on both roles. Following her stint in Kiss of the Spider-Woman, she starred in a 1995 Emmy-winning TV movie adaptation of Bye Bye Birdie. As for this particular project, we'll see how far it goes. It'll either be one of those that gains momentum or never goes anywhere. I hope the former, because I myself am mainly familiar with this property from having seen the non-musical film and listened to the original Broadway cast recording. Never read the original novel, nor have I seen a stage production, so I guess let's keep our fingers crossed for this one. For our final subject, I'd like to take this moment to remember 7 industry veterans we've lost within this past month. Norman Lear died from cardiac arrest on December 5th at the age of 101. He was the legendary creator and producer behind classic TV sitcoms such as All in the Family, Maude, Sanford and Son, Good Times, The Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, and Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. He also earned an Oscar nomination in 1967 in the category of Best Original Screenplay for writing Divorce American Style. Actress Marisa Pavan died on December 6th at the age of 91. She earned an Oscar nomination for her supporting performance in the 1955 film adaptation of Tennessee Williams's play, The Rose Tattoo. Actor Ryan O'Neal died of congestive heart failure on December 8th at the age of 82. He earned an Oscar nomination for his performance in 1970's Love Story and was the father of Oscar-winning actress Tatum O'Neal. In 2015, he reunited with his former Love Story co-star Ally McGraw in a national touring production of A.R. Gurney's play Love Letters. Australian theatre director Michael Blakemore died following a short illness on December 10th at the age of 95. He helmed the original Broadway productions of A Day in the Death of Joe Egg, Noises Off, and City of Angels. In 2000, he became the very first and to date only person to have ever won both directing Tonys in the same year. They were for Michael Frayn's play, Copenhagen, and a revival of the musical Kiss Me, Kate. Actor André Braugher died from lung cancer on December 11th at the age of 61. He earned 11 Primetime Emmy nominations over the course of 24 years. He also managed to win twice, first in 1998 for Homicide: Life on the Street, then in 2006 for Thief. Actor Maurice Hines died on December 29th at the age of 80. He earned a Tony nomination in 1986 for his performance in a musical revue he also directed, choreographed, and conceived, titled Uptown, It's Hot, not to mention that Maurice was also the older brother of actor Gregory Hines. Tom Wilkinson died on December 30th at the age of 75. a veteran character actor who earned 2 Oscar nominations for his performances in 2001's In the Bedroom and 2007's Michael Clayton. He also won an Emmy in 2008 for his portrayal of Benjamin Franklin in the HBO miniseries John Adams. My condolences go out to all of their families. So that's just about does it for the news of this month. I will be back in February to discuss any bit of entertainment news stories that I found interesting and or important from January.